Hi fellows, and welcome to a new review from Class 47 Peter, though I really didn't need to tell you that because you know who's reviewing this anyway. A new month has arrived, we're now in August, and so it's now high time that we had a look at this locomotive. Because this review is a bit out of schedule, because I have had this model for ages. Usually when I get a new model, I tend to just dive in there and review it. But it's not been the case with this one. I've had this model for ages, since it was first released, which has been a while now. It's not been out too long, because this is a brand new release from Hornby. It came out in... crikey, was it back in the end of June when this first came out? I think it was. I think this was first released in the back end of June. And that is pretty much when I first got hold of this model. But the reason I haven't done a review on it yet is because I was busy with other things, and also I have been filming other vids that I wanted to film before I started even attempting to review this one. But anyway, so we're going to do the video of it now, so sit back and relax and enjoy. And so today we're going to be looking at the Drummond 700 class from Hornby, as you can see. Now Hornby have released several of these. There's this one in Southern Region Black. They've also released a BR Black Early Emblem version that's pristine, and they've also released another BR Black Early Emblem version which is weathered. They might bring out more in the future, it's not unlikely once they bring the tooling out. You might get a BR Black Light Crest version at some point, but I don't know. It's anyone's guess. They have also released another Southern Region Black livery 700, but that's in a train pack that comes with 3 coaches. But I didn't want the train pack because I didn't want the coaches, I just wanted the locomotive. Oh, I was expecting the information to be on that side. No, it's on this end. So it's R3238 SR 060, it's an 060, 0 wheels at the front, 6 in the middle and none at the back, and of course it is the Drummond 700 class, as we've said before. And the reason I went for the Southern Region Black livery is because, well, I don't have very many Southern Region Black livery locomotives, and it is a nice livery. And it is a Southern Region livery loco, so hey, it makes sense to get it in Southern livery, in my opinion. Because I do quite like the Southern Region Black livery one. And more to the point, it's the one I wanted. And this model should have been released last year, but due to delays, it's only this year just been released. But it's been worth the wait, as I'm sure we will all agree. This is not going to be the first review on this loco though, because there are other reviews already. So let's get this model out. It has already been opened before. I haven't looked at it in detail yet, but I got it out to run it on the track, and it does run. And that also explains why it's in the packaging upside down, but there we are. So it's in the new Hornby packaging, as we can see, which is the plastic packaging that I'm not a fan of, but there we go. So we've taken off the box sleeve, and on the back we get the brief history of it. The C is the power classification. Interestingly, now I was expecting a photograph of the real locomotive. Instead we get a diagram drawing of the model, which is somewhat interesting. I've not seen that before on the back of the boxes. So for the brief history, now I actually didn't know too much about this locomotive. I had heard of them before because I've seen pictures of them in old rail enthusiast books that tell us the class of the locomotive, what numbers they went up to and whatever, but I didn't really know much about this class of locomotive, so I have done some research on it for this review. So this locomotive, they were all designed by Dougal Drummond, and yes, I have pronounced his name correctly. And they were built at Dubs & Co, all of them were, and they were designed specifically for freight work, and they were nicknamed in service Black Motors. I'm not too sure why. And they were first withdrawn in 1957, that was the first one, the second in 1959, the third in 1960, and the final 7 withdrawn in 1962. None were saved for preservation, sadly, which is a bit of a shame, but there we go. And they were also later fitted with superheater boilers, because they didn't have them before. So there is some brief history on the locomotive. It's not too much, but you know, we don't really want to blabber on too long about that anyway. But I've given you some, but if you want to read this, just pause and feel free to do so. But anyway, so we'll get rid of the box sleeve. Then we'll get rid of the outer sleeve once we get this packaging out, the plastic sleeve casing. Blimey, that was a bit hard to get out. So we'll get rid of that. When I mean get rid of it, I don't mean I'll throw it in the bin now, just put it to one side. Then we have this, because this model was purchased from Hereford Model Centre, and you get these with all locomotives, or at least most of them, and it just says that the engine was tested. But even so, I tested it when I first got it anyway to make sure it did run, to double check, but even so. But you know, it has been run already anyway, so there we go. So then we have the instructions for the Drummond 700 class. Now you will have to excuse all these jump cuts. This is because I'm actually taking photographs as I go along, because there is actually going to be a review on my blog post in pictures of this model, as well as this video review. So I will link that once it's gone up in the description, so that's something else to tune in for. So the instructions for the Drummond 700, the first and only, that will go into my folder, because that's where I keep them all. And so it's lubrication, fitting the accessories on, oh joy. The assembly, although the locomotive and the tender are already assembled, not by me, that's how it comes. Body removal, fitting the DCC decoder and brake rods. Suits the usual stuff really, so I'll put those to one side. Then we will take away the plastic casing, like so. And then we have the detail parts. And so in this little bag of details we get a brake rod for the tender, excuse me, a coupling for the front, which is an M1, which has the pigeon tail connector, or dovetail. I think pigeon tail has a different ring to it. It doesn't have the same ring to it when it's dovetail, but that's just me. And then we have a brake pipe for either the front or the back of the loco. But I will add them on later. But anyway, so now all we need to do is to take off the clip of the packaging, the plastic clip as I'm going to call it. We lift the locomotive out, which is wrapped in this cellophane sheet of some sort, which I did not expect. You don't too often see that. And then I'll just put that back together and take it to one side. And then we just take off the packaging, which is going to go in the bin. So I've got no intention of putting it back in the box or anything. So there we are. But at least it's better than the tissue paper, which I don't like. And so then there is the model. Right, now the locomotive and the tender, I should point out, are connected together, as you can see. So what I'm going to do, as always, or nearly always, in the exception of one review, I am going to disconnect the loco from the tender. I'm going to show you that, how I do it. So I'll just move the model out of the way and we'll bring in the homemade loco cradle. Do excuse this piece of tissue in here, that's because it's to stop any dust from getting on the model. So what I'll do is I'll just grab the model and the tender and just gently turn them upside down and just place them into the cradle. You know, who needs the Pico cradles when you've got these homemade ones? So first of all, it seems that we've got to take out this doohickey here, which is what I'm going to call it. It's a screw. Oh no. But you've also got that plug there, so you do need to be careful with these. I mean, I was just expecting the wire and the plug, if I'm honest. So we're going to need to get a screwdriver and a pair of pliers just to pull that out. So I'll just move that into position so you can see it. Oh, that's not a euphemism. Right, I'm back. So I've got my tweezers and I've got my screwdriver. So first of all, we need to take that screw out. Like so. Then put that carefully to one side, because if you lose it, then you're in for a nightmare. But this is the most careful bit that you need to do. I don't think that makes sense, but there you go. But you do need to be really careful. So this is probably going to be the most gentle thing you're going to have to do. Just grab it with your pliers and carefully ease it out if it wants to, that is. Although actually I might be able to lever it up with this screwdriver, because it seems to be wedged in there quite tight. And the important thing is you don't want to damage it either, because then also you might knacker your model up. So one must take great care with stuff like this. There we go, I didn't need to use the pliers after all. So they can go away. But then so can the screw. Well, actually we're going to need that for later to put the screw back in, so we'll keep that to one side. So there's the tender. Put that to one side, and then here's the locomotive, which we're going to be reviewing first. So there we are. It doesn't take that long to do, really. Right, so firstly, like I said, we're going to have a look at the model. I have had to dust it down off camera slightly, but there we go. But wow, just look at this. The wait has definitely been worth it, folks. And that's the first impression, because first impressions matter, and the last. But where do we begin? I mean, for a start, there's quite a lot of weight in this, because the boiler is made of metal. But you know, that's good, because this isn't a very long locomotive after all, compared to an A4 or the P2 or whatever. Because it is only a goods engine after all, so it needs a fair bit of weight in it, because you need the weight for it to pull a reasonably long train of wagons. And without the weight, this model would be useless. It wouldn't be able to pull anything. So the weight is just as important as the detail, which the detail does not fail to disappoint. I mean, just look at this. You know, this is superb. I mean, for a start, you got the... I'm trying to be really careful here because I do not want to damage it. You got brake rods here that are already fitted to the model, and they are factory fitted. It's nice they've done that, because that can be awkward to put on. Got the side rods there, just look at that. I can't wait to see that moving. You've got, just look at the pipe work. You've got some pipe work round the boiler here that comes down here under the side rods, and just at the side of the boiler there, and under the reverser there. I mean, that is just really well done. There's some more detail down here. Now, it is basic, but from some glance away, it's actually hard to tell that it was basic, because you would think, looking at it from this far away, you'd think it was separately put on. So that's actually quite clever that they've done that. Well done, Hornby. I know it's only a minor thing, but still. But you know, even basic detail can be impressive, and that is impressive. And just look, you got some detail inside the loco there. Just look at that. You don't see that very often. There's some small handrails there, as you can see, of some sort. The livery is spot on, in the Southern Region black livery with the lining on, which looks really stunning, with nice red lining going all the way down the boiler and on the wheel arches and on the sandboxes, which is what these are. And that is that a works plate? I think it is, but I can't quite read what it says. So actually no, I think that's the works plate. No, that's the number. Silly me. But there is some rivets there on the side of the cab. You've got handrails coming down the side of the cab as well. That's the footplate for the people to stand on. There's some rivets at the top there, not many, but it's there. Just look at all that pipe work on the top of the boiler. Look at that. That is impressive. There's glazed in the cab windows like there should be. That's the whistle there. And those are the safety valves on top of the dome. You don't see that very often, and that looks impressive too. There's some rivets on the top of the smoke box, and just look at that chimney. That is really nice. You could fit a smoke generator unit down there if you wanted, but I'm not going to bother, so I don't do that sort of thing. You've got rivets on the buffer beam with the locomotive's running number 695 printed on the front. There's the hole for the brake pipe to go into, and that's the hook for a chain link coupling if you wanted to fit one on. There's lamp irons on the running board and on the top of the smoke box. The smoke box door darts or handles, whichever you prefer to call them, are separately put on, which is nice. The smoke box door in question does not open, but does it really need to? Not really. It's nice to see that when you do have a model that's got an opening smoke box door, but it doesn't really need it to be stunning. The buffers are metal, and for those that like sprung buffers, you'll be pleased to know that they are sprung. I have not much care for them, because you know you're only going to touch the sprung buffers when you're holding the model at the end of the day, not when it's running. But for those that like the sprung buffers, you'll be pleased to know that they are there. There's even rivets on the footsteps there, and lining on that too. There's more detail here with rivets on, and the pipe work. Just look at that. You know, that is impressive. And there's the other view of the detailing there. Then the sanding gear, and the tender is just as impressive as the locomotive. There's that NEM coupling on the back with the dovetail pigeon tail connector. That's the plug, obviously, for the socket to go into, or should I say socket for the plug to go into. Sorry, that's what I meant to say. And of course the buffers on the back, sprung, as the front ones were. There's a brake pipe on the back of the tender, so obviously that one in the detail pack goes on the front of the loco, of course. You've got lamp irons on the back and lining, and the locomotive's running number 695, and there's a lamp iron on top of the tender. There's rivets on top of the tender, just look at that. That's the water filler cap for the water to go into, and this is the coal rail on top of the tender, which looks really nice. There's the Southern Region lettering, which is accurate, as well as the loco's running number, which is really nice and stunning. And it feels raised as well. You've got lining on the frame of the tender with rivets, axle boxes and springs, which is what these are. Rivets on the tender buffer beam. And you've got some handrails down the side of the tender there. And that's the handle for the water to be transferred from the tender to the boiler. And there is a fair bit of weight in the tender. It's not massively heavy, but there is some weight in there. Then as for the coal, is it removable? There's only one way to find out. I'll get my needle out and then we'll see if it is removable. I'm thinking it is. Yep, it is removable. The question is just how easy is it to get out? I don't know if it's that easy, actually, to be honest. I mean, it is definitely removable, as that is proven, but you know, it might not be that easy. I mean, there are some weird ways of removing the coal, just like what I saw with Hornby's B1. the little bit of coal that goes into the tender was connected to the coal piece. And if I'm not mistaken, this could be the same principle that's been adopted. It wouldn't surprise me at all. Yeah, I think that, you know, it's actually quite hard as well to remove the coal sometimes, because you do not want to damage any of the detail on here. You know, I mean, they could make it easier. Just drop the needle. So yeah, it's not easy in conclusion. What we might have to do is to just get real coal and just scatter it on the top. I mean, this does not all, by all means, want to come out. Not the world's best idea, I've got to say. Yeah, there's something stopping that from being removable. It is removable because it definitely wants to be removed, but at the same time it doesn't want to be removed. So yeah, so I'm just taking off a good mark there, might as well. So yeah, I think that pretty much sums up that. It is removable, but it's just getting it out. I mean, it is really hard. But thankfully I've not damaged any of the detail, that's the main thing. But, you know, even so. So it looks like I'm going to have to get real coal and just scatter it on the top. But I'm not going to criticise Hornby for that, because it's not really just a Hornby thing. Batman have done it as well, you know. It's just one of them things. But, you know, we can't let things like that let the model down. You know, in fairness, it could be worse. I mean, just look at the coal on the B1. I mean, what they've basically done here is they've done a similar thing. That little bit of coal there, I think, is attached to that, so it's harder for it to be removable. Or either that's probably because of this detail here that's stopping it, but never mind. But the coal is removable, definitely, as you've seen. It's just that it doesn't seem to want to come out. Right, well, on that note, there's only one thing left to do. Connect the tender back up to the loco and put it on the tracks to give it a run. Okay, so here you got the track, and so we're going to put the Drummond 700 onto the rails. Like so. Yep, she's on. The power is now turned on, so let's give her a wiggle. Oh yes, look at that. I mean, I already knew she was a smooth runner anyway, but just look at that. And that's slow speed as well. It's not dirty track there. Just look at that. Anyway, let's get her going. Yeah, that really is smooth. Let's zoom in on the side rods going round. Look at that. So there she goes, passing the sheds, passing the airfield. These fences, by the way, are now glued back into place. So then she goes over the crossing and through the tunnel, where she will pop out the other end. I'm passing the sidings where the wagons are waiting. These models will go back on the shelves, by the way, so I have to excuse them. Then passing to the station where the crowds of people are waiting to get the next train. Then passing the seaside that still has yet to have some detail on, but it will do. I know I keep saying that, but it will in time, trust me. And then back to where the sheds are, so yeah, that's pretty much about it for that. So in a minute I'll get some close-up shots of her before we then get her coupled up to a train to see how she can manage. And also it's actually fairly quiet as well, which is quite nice. Quality mechanism that is. But anyway, let's get some close-ups of her. So the Drummond 700 is now coupled up to this goods train, or freight train, whichever you prefer to call them. And I'm sure she can pull this easily. It is a goods engine after all. It's not a heavy freight locomotive, but it should be able to pull this. Yes, look at that, she can do it. Let's zoom in on that side rod motion again. Yes, look at that. Yeah, she can do it easily. And just what you want as well. I just love the sound of the wagons going over the rail joints. It sounds so realistic. And one idea I have for the future is to get this double heading with the Q1, which is also in Southern Region black livery. But of course that will be on a longer goods train. But you know, I bet she could pull a long goods train without any issues. It's now started to rain, so do excuse me if I'm having to talk loud. which is coping really well. She can go around the bends easily without struggling, which she manages immensely well on the straights. So now I think we should get some close-ups of it before we come to a conclusion. And I know what that's going to do. Okay, so it's now stopped raining, so we're now free to give our conclusion. And so in conclusion, you've got the detail, which is stunning, the strength, which, you know, it speaks for itself. She's more than capable of pulling the train like this. And then there's the running on top of that. We've got a Pandora's charm here, people. And I think that this model could be in Model Rail's Model of the Year for 2015. It's possible. Hornby, you deserve a pat on the back for this model. Well done. And people say Batman are better than Hornby. You know what? If it wasn't for Hornby, you would not have a stunning model like this on your layouts. It just goes to show you that it doesn't matter if it's Hornby, Bachmann, Helgen or V-Trains, they can all produce stunning models. And this is one of them, made by Hornby.